Nikhil, I'm happy you are here with us today because I love the hotel space and accommodations and hospitality overall. And you're doing a really rad company as the co-founder and CEO of Workgrounds. Didn't mess it up this time. There we go. Nikhil Sethi is here with us today. Welcome, Nikhil.
Thank you for having me. Really excited.
Yes.
Excited to
Where are
do
you
this.
calling in from today? Are you in New
I am
York?
in lovely Westport, Connecticut, which this is not. It is Arctic tundra over here with snow on the
Nice.
ground.
Oh,
Yes,
there you go. Tis the season, deep
there you
December. So
go.
here we go.
It is a white
Okay.
Christmas.
What are you doing at Workgrounds? It's, quote, the easiest way to automate and manage hotel room blocks, saving an
Yes.
average of 31% for folks. I would think, like, is this a problem? Do we need this? Just tell me.
Yeah. So, I actually was a previous founder
Yes.
before Workgrounds as well. And,
Yep.
we had teams all over the world, in many different markets.
You were at Accenture too, by the way.
Exactly.
Yep.
And, we always wanted to bring, as part of our company culture, bring people together. There's so much magic that happens when we're in person. And I was always
100%.
befuddled by how complicated and how time consuming just the logistics part of getting people together was. And obviously, post-COVID, a lot of companies went even further in the distributed workforce.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So it kind of became this head scratchy thing of, like, in hospitality, if you want to buy 1 or 2 hotel rooms, you can go on a million different sites and buy that 1 or 2 rooms. But if you want 9, 19, 90, 900 rooms, it's
Forget
a
it.
completely non-digital process. You have to pick up the phone. You're calling sales managers at hotels. Sometimes they're awesome and get back to you. Sometimes they never
No, they're not.
respond.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we wanted to build something at Workgrounds, which basically did 3 things. The first thing is make it super easy to get hotels to bid and fight for your business. They should be excited to want to partner with you, right? And it makes it really easy. Imagine a world where I could just drop a pin in New York City and get 30 hotels to immediately
bid on your. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second thing we wanted to solve for was, obviously it's great if you're Accenture, these big companies, you get lots of, negotiated rates and deals and stuff. But what if you're the 20-person or 100-person company? It's really hard to get them to pay attention to you. So we have this great model where we basically use a blinded RFP to basically give you the power of a much larger organization. And give you the buying power of an Accenture as a mid-sized company. And the last part of it is that we've talked to tons of chief of staffs, operations specialists, EAs that have to do a lot of the heavy lifting once you have the rooms and you have the space set up. And there's so many things. There's like this iceberg of things that they have to do. Like, oh, you booked 20 rooms, but now your founder hired 30 more people. And now you need double the capacity. Or a bunch of people got sick last minute and now you have to modify everything. Or, Tony wants to bring his wife and kids because they want to hang out, for a few days after. All of these things are like change requests and emails and phone calls. And so we said, okay, enough. How can we make the software experience, make this really easy to give you the power and the economics of buying as a group, but without any of the time costs, and just really focus the team's energy to how do we make this a fun experience for the team and make it really valuable for the few moments that we are together. So that's what we've been trying to do.
Do you feel there's quite the tailwind of this happening too, as people enter what I call the analog revolution? Wanting to be back in person.
Definitely. I mean, in many ways, we kind of want the best of both worlds, right?
We want
the global sourcing for talent. We want to get the best people, but we also want them to be together and connected. And so I think we see some of the best large-scale or even large-scale organizations, the Atlassians, the Shopifys, the Coinbases, the Blocks of the world that are basically enforcing both sides of that equation. They want to make it really easy to gather, and they want to make it really easy to hire for the best person for the job wherever they are. And so, I think longer term, we will see this hybridization occur. And that doesn't mean no offices. That doesn't mean always remote.
Agreed.
That means something in the middle, which gives us the benefit of both. There's a big tailwind. And, I think a lot of this was a result of, the years that we had in COVID, right? And we were very away from everyone for a long time. Loved some of the benefits of that in the sense that we could be in our space. Obviously it was a terrible time overall. But at the same time, going back to a 2-hour commute, a 1-hour commute to go into an office where a bunch of people are already remote and I just have to be on Zoom all day long didn't really make sense for a lot of people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're finding our footing, perhaps.
Exactly. And there's no right answer. That's the other beauty of it, right? And the way we kind of say it internally is like, the moment I have two people, two offices, or two different places a person is on the team,
Yeah.
I'm effectively a distributed company at that point.
Yeah.
And so the bar isn't really remote or not. It's where is my workforce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you had an ad tech company that you sold to Accenture, which is how you got there, right? And you kind of invested a little bit there, all that good stuff. You have something, it sounds like founderitis, what I call it, which is I got to do the next thing. Like there's a problem, I see it, I have to solve it. So for you, Nikhil, what was it where you're like, yes, you were talking about like, oh, you were befuddled, why is this problem? But why do you think you have this urge to continue to build?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think some of it kind of gets like morphed into your being or your DNA, right? At a young age, I actually grew up in the Bay Area. And my dad was a .com, entrepreneur, rode that wave very high up and then also rode it all the way down. And so I got a very kind of first courtside seat view, if you will, to entrepreneurship. And I was kind of infected by it. And, I went to university at Northwestern and, got to join some of the entrepreneurship classes there and just kind of got like really excited about this idea of how can I practically take, information or skills and apply it to solving an interesting problem. And, the ad tech experience was really fascinating because we knew nothing about ad tech, like nothing, zero. And so it was almost like this, thing that we noticed in the world and kind of said, this doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be that way. How can we impact that or affect that? And then entrepreneurship and venture and all this stuff is just a vehicle to solve that problem, right? And so when we exited Adaptly to Accenture, I think we were, myself and my co-founder, and even some of the early team, we kind of already knew we were going to do it again. And it was just a matter of...
Wait, is the team back together? Is the gang back together?
Same gang too. And I think that's the other part that's really exciting for me is that, we get to work with people that, in some ways I joke I've been married to my co-founder more than my wife because we've been in the trenches for so long, almost 15 years. And so there's something really cool to get to do entrepreneurship or startup building with people that you really respect and admire.
This is a hugely emerging theme on this little podcast, Nikhil. And as the academic in me is like, oh, the data is getting saturated in terms of the love of doing it again with people you've already built it with once or twice. And there's such a thrill to that because what I don't hear from people, or at least they're not saying it on here, is, oh, well, I already made 50 million and I'd really love to make another 70. Wouldn't that be great? It's like
the motivation changes, right?
It totally does.
We're fortunate to have had an acquisition experience. I think the other part of it that probably helped / complicated is that after that acquisition, both me and my co-founder started families, young families. And so there's now this new motivation.
You're the dads.
Yes, we're the dads with the white hair and the beard, right?
Yeah.
And I think that motivation was also quite spectacular for me, which was, wanting to create a impactful life and experience that my children would be excited about and look up to and feel like, hey, there was, real shots on goal here. And so that's another, I think, big driver of it as well. And I think that's also why it resulted, we went from ad tech to corporate travel, which isn't necessarily an obvious, tangential domain.
No, I would say no.
And I think part of it for us was just we wanted to work on something that was really compelling and exciting to us. And it didn't necessarily have to compound on previous experiences, right? I mean, you could argue we should have stayed in ad tech, but I think part of it was also, there's so many interesting problems out there and there's such a great variety. It keeps our mind fresh and keeps our excitement level high when we get to focus on new problems, right? And I think funnily enough, the last thing I'll say is that they all kind of break down into the same subcomponents, right? So even though it's
operating a business,
ad tech and corporate travel, you think has no, but there's a lot of similarities in there, right? Both in how you construct the business, how you construct the team, how you think about problems, how you think about the operational context that has to be created. A lot of those things kind of still thread through the same path.
Oh, so what was the convo, if you could take us back? To, hey, do you want to do this again?
Interesting conversation. I actually was ready to take a slight break.
Oh, okay.
And actually my team is the one that pulled really
They were
hard
the one that
to
got
bring me
you.
back in.
So how'd they do it? Tell us that.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where it was like my co-founder actually had a really, really succinct idea in his mind of where he wanted to go with the next business. I actually think I was my wife is Swiss, so we were in Switzerland on vacation, where I was sort of contemplating what a life could look like, post corporate life at Accenture.
Yes.
And the pitch was something like, look, we have a compelling thought. We'd love to just put it in front of some VCs and see what people think. There was no deck. There was no, large set of materials. It was like a napkin sketch of something.
Yes,
basically.
literally the napkin, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, fine. We'll do that. So I got back to New York and then had a first coffee meeting with a set of investors that, had really supported Adaptly. I had a lot of respect for people I could, very quickly
go back to
an idea to. And the response was, we'd love to fund this right now. And so I was kind of like, okay,
crap. Now
let's
we're
go.
in it. Now we're in it.
And I think that also was important for me because I even struggle sometimes on just an empty weekend, where there's nothing to do. So it was actually really great to jump straight into something else just for my own mind and my own sanity. And so it was as simple as, just kind of throwing the general context of where we wanted to build and getting a great supporter involved from the venture side. And then we were off to the races at that point.
So let's break this down just so we're very clear. It was, you're doing corporate life. You're in Switzerland. You're hanging out. They're like, hey, no deck, no nothing really. Just like, let's just see. Let's just see. We're going to go back to some of our bestie investors. You have a coffee meeting. They say yes. And you're like, well, crap. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was equally that and equally, okay, this is real. We're jumping back into the trenches.
We're doing it.
And then we moved immediately within 24 hours into execution mode. It was just like a quick flip of the switch. And it was almost like we never left, startup life. It's kind of like riding a bike. It was all
this kind of you're back on
memory.
Okay, so was it fun? Were you like, yes, I'm on the bike again? Or were you like,
it's the type of fun where the correlation between fun and anxiety is like really strong.
Yes, perfect.
Yes. And so it was both of those emotions. Luckily, I've already lost all my hair.
Yeah, you're good.
So it was very easy, to jump back into that sort of, very demanding, and stress-inducing life. But it was awesome. And it was great to get to do it with people that we had done it before with.
Yeah. How many of you are back together to do this?
There's 3 of us.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now that you're back at it again in your Three Musketeers life, what's different this time?
Oh man. So it's
both two of you are dads.
People say that, second time is easier or should be easier.
Yeah.
I think it's easier in one dimension and equally as difficult in every other.
What's the one dimension?
There is a slight advantage in fundraising in the very beginning, meaning at the pre-seed or early seed stage. After that, you become equally as competitive in the same pool of companies that exist and have to prove all the same levels of success metrics required. Everything else, is equally as challenging, all the way from designing the approach to building the product. The world has changed. I mean, 2010 is when we started Adaptly. The average, seed round was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The A's were single-digit millions.
Yes. Oh, I know. We were there for that.
Seed round today can be $50 million. It's a totally different world. Both from that standpoint, from how we capitalize, how we build products has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Right? There was no AI really productized at that point.
Yeah.
The amount of work that you can do to get to a prototype or get to a product in market is very different. The time curve is very different. The way you recruit and hire, like we were just talking about earlier, the distributed or more, remote model is very popular and common these days. So how we architected our business operation was totally different. Pretty much every other dimension.
So everything,
was new. It's almost like relearning, how to execute each of these components. The ideas were the same, right?
Yeah.
But the method of achievement was very, very new. And so we had to relearn a lot of these things and be very conscious about building for a different world, a different reality.
How do you three maintain your relationship as co-founders and everyone's pulling their own weight?
Yep. So two of us are
happy.
co-founders.
Okay, two of us.
One of us,
And the third is okay.
I was an early employee at Adapt, basically.
So then with your co-founder,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some things that have just become habit for us, right? So one is, all the performative, wishy-washy, emotion hiding is gone between us.
Good.
It's very, very vulnerable. We laugh and enjoy and have fun, and we equally have discourse and debates that, drive you mad, right? And so I think you need kind of the yin and yang of that. And I think our relationship has developed to that point where we can have that level of a conversation without losing respect for one another, right? That's a key part of it.
Without losing respect.
Exactly. That's the key part, right? Yeah. Nothing is personal at that point. We're all trying to solve the same problem, move the boat in the same direction.
Yes.
And, I think that connected with the fact that we've just been through pretty much every awesome and every shitty thing you can imagine together builds and hardens that relationship. So I think it's nothing more than time spent, probably. And also the scars and wounds that you develop from being in the trenches and going through, right? Adaptly was almost a 10-year journey.
Yes.
2010 to 2018, roughly. So rounding up a little, but it was roughly in that decade time span. And it was a challenging business. Ad tech had a lot of moments where it was very in favor, and then there was many moments where it was very out of favor. Right? And so I think it really conditioned us and taught us, how to manage in both good times and bad times. And I think that makes us an awesome founding team.
Yeah. Oh, how cool. How fun.
Yeah.
What's one of your recent unlocks, if you got one? Or maybe from this year, because we're doing this in December.
Yeah, I think one of the big unlocks for me is really just how we've designed our org setup. So actually we have very few meetings, right? As a team, we have basically one synchronous meeting a week.
One?
And one of the things that we learned is that if you're going to be a distributed, workforce, you have to become a very written down culture.
Yes. Yep.
And you have to be very good at communicating and articulating, complicated ideas in a way that an asynchronous person can understand and grab. And so we've designed this architecture basically where we have from the lowest level, sort of these very few synchronous conversations.
Okay.
Then from there, we have a once a month retrospective as a company where we talk about anything that's, going awesome, anything that's super painful, areas of questions and challenges across the org. And then from there, we have a quarterly in-person 1 week together as well. So that sort of simple structure gives us the connectivity where we get together, we really hash out the next quarter's, objectives, OKRs, et cetera, come back on a monthly time frame to review overall, are we progressing overall? Are there other, big challenges or things we want to rewrite? And then on a weekly basis, basically check in on Monday morning. So that kind of cycle breeds this connectivity, but it also allows for really deep asynchronous work. And that's where I think actually as a founder and also as an individual contributor, the world has become such that there's such an information overload.
There is.
I mean, you can just sit on these non-productive information gathering sites, I'll call them. I think the audience may know which ones we're talking about. And it can consume every moment of the day to the point where there isn't any work being done. There isn't actually moving the ball forward in any capacity. And so I think really redefining our structure to allow for this deeper, non-interruptive time has been really beneficial.
Wow. Okay. I'm sure there's potential talent who's like, what, one meeting a week? Oh my God, this is the rest I'm just on blazing mode. So
I will say one thing, which is that's not for everyone.
No, it definitely is
right
not.
answer.
Yes,
in these
of course
setups.
not. No, of course not.
There are definitely folks in different stages of your career that require different levels of connectivity, right?
Yes, of course.
And I think for us, because we get to choose and design this org in a certain way, we get to recruit in a certain way. We're 11 people today as a total size. And I think there's some question marks still, right? Will this scale? Will this work with 100, with 1,000? I think we're not oblivious to say that it won't require evolution. But at this stage,
in 0 to 1,
it's really working for us.
Yeah. It's juicy. It's good. Yeah. Okay, to round us out for today, Nikhil, who are you becoming?
Oh man, that's probably one we could spend the whole day just about that conversation.
Quite the existential question.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately for me, one of the big challenges and something that I think will help me answer that question, because I don't know the answer to it, is really understanding like the motivation behind things, right? I think we operate in a world that still glorifies some metrics and things that may or may not be the right ones. For example, funding size and head count.
Well, it used to be head count. Head count,
right, in the 2010s.
Now everyone's like, it's negative. It's negative. Okay, that's going to be the new flex. I have 0 employees.
AI has really brought out some amazing innovation, but at the same time, it's also brought out this reversion to metrics that I don't know if we actually, as like a collective economy, like understand and appreciate. So, when I think about what I'm becoming, I think part of it is actually asking the question of like, what am I trying to not become? And I think I'm trying to also be as vigilant and aware as possible to not gravitate to metrics that don't matter, if that makes sense. And I think if I were to bring it back to one that's a core one for me, and I measure a lot of my life around this, is just how much time I'm spending with the people that I love and care about, right? And if the entrepreneurship is a vehicle to create more time and more space over a longer arc, that would be a great person to become.
Very good, Nikhil. I was reminiscing on this quote. It was on some podcast. I wish I had the reference in, so I can't pull it up. But especially for men, it's like, earlier it's like, well, what would you die for? But then as you get older, it's, well, what would you live for? And what are you doing for the next 40 years, let's say? And are you willing to live for that?
Yes.
What a different switch.
It really does switch.
Because the immature is die for, I could die for this or whatever. But it's actually, what are you going to live for 50 years?
Totally. And I think the realization that time is very precious, right? It's very obvious. Everyone can know it and say it, but it flips somewhere in some point of time for everyone where that becomes a very big scarcity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that refreshing?
Yeah. It's exciting. Well, and in some ways, it's motivation. So, yeah.
Nikhil Sethi, thank you for being here today. Co-founder, CEO, Workgrounds, booking hotels, but also just like having the time of your life, I'd say, with
if anyone people that matter. More hotel rooms for anything, I'm your guy.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Beck.
See ya.